Can I let Yogendra Yadav respond? Yogendra Yadav, there will be the sense that when, in a way, you will be seen today as a pessimist, someone who sees the glass as half empty, even on farm laws, which was seen by many as an issue that required dialogue. Eventually it ended up in confrontation. Is that part of the problem, you think, with this Modi model, that it leads to confrontation because the individual itself personalizes his politics and therefore tends to also end up creating adversaries and enemies, center versus state, farmers versus center? Is that, to your mind, a weakness of this system?
That is, Rajdeep, but let me focus on the real big issue, and let me begin by agreeing with Sopan. It is true that towards the end UPA ran aground. High inflation, extreme perceptions of corruption, and everything that it had achieved in economic terms was wiped out from public memory. That's why Mr. Modi came. And he came with a lot of hope. I've never been a part of his fan club, but I must say that a very large majority of this country, even those who did not vote for Mr. Modi, thought at last the country would have stable politics, strong leader, big decisions and so on. And what do we have, Rajdeep, after 8 years? You've been excessively kind, may I say. You said some mistakes have been made. Swapan Das Gupta is educated and thinking person, unlike many other persons in his party. Tell me, Swapan, demonetization, would this not be taught in textbooks of economics for years to come as a model of how not to fiddle with a good economy? On the issue of what happened in during the COVID lockdown, Rajdeep, you have run footage, you have seen it. Tell me, would it not count as one of the most thoughtless and one of the most heartless decisions taken by any government? Remember, we did not have this kind of a footage that we saw in India of migrant labor. That footage did not come from Kenya, Ghana, any other state in Africa, the poorest of poor in this country. All that shameful footage came from India. Talk about the deaths during COVID. Is it not a fact that the proportion of people who died is amazingly, astonishingly, embarrassingly higher than the government says, higher than what the kind of discrepancy you have in all other parts of the world? And Raj Chengappa, you know international relations and national security infinitely more than I do. You've done it for years and years. Please tell me, when was the last time after 1962 that an Indian government ceded so much of its territory to China? Please tell me, Raj Chengappa, if Congress had done this during the regime, how would the BJP have reacted? How would the country have reacted? So when we say some mistakes, I'm afraid we are being unduly kind. What we are witnessing, and Raj was quite right, Mr. Modi has big ideas. I think big ideas also need to be sane ideas. Otherwise you run the risk of actually running this country aground. On the economy, I dare say we have witnessed one of the most incompetent government for a rising and complex and large economy like this. Enormous injustice has been done to it, and let us not be overly kind to what has happened here.
Very strong words there, but two perspectives. Let me give you one more chance to find that middle ground. If I were to look ahead, I know 8 years is perhaps, some would say, too little to look at legacy, but I come back to it. If you were to look at hits and misses, the big hit, the big miss as we end.
Well, I think the big hit was, it's a controversial statement, but abrogation of Article 370. And I'm saying that because it is, again...
but the jury is still out whether it's actually going to change the face of the Kashmir Valley. My point is, would you therefore say the ability to take big risks, some of which may...
I'm saying, when you look at decisions, you compare prime ministers across, since you asked that question, what would you remember Narasimha Rao about? You would remember him for reforms, and on the other front, Babri Masjid, the demolition of it.
Yes.
Look at Vajpayee. What would you think of it? Nuclear tests?
Yes.
And the Kargil war, and the failure was Lahore.
Right? Some would say the failure to act on Gujarat, but that's another contestable issue on another day.
Take Dr. Manmohan Singh. you would say economic prosperity during that first phase that was there. A lot of welfareism. Narega was started under his.
Yes.
I would be biased and I'd say the nuclear deal, and the failure was corruption.
Yes.
And we go a little back, Indira Gandhi, nuclear test, Bangladesh war, emergency, and this. And I'll add one more. Sorry?
Fascinating, actually.
Yeah. But if you take a look at
Mr. Modi,
right? Demonetization certainly on the negatives, right? He could have handled that far better. But if you take a look at, and in terms of achievements, welfareism to a height that none of the others had done, they had started it, but in terms of delivery, you know, what
so scaling up welfareism.
Certainly a big achievement. I would put Kashmir in that, in terms of achievements, as part of that, because
digitization.
No, it's a game changer. I'm just talking. It's
yes.
A game.
Okay.
See, efficiency. I'd bring digitization. Technology would come under efficiency.
Okay.
Right? But Kashmir is a game changer when it comes to that. So why I'm saying that is it's altered the status quo. If you take a look at the 1974 test, which was also 1974 nuclear test was a game changer, it changed the status quo when Mrs. Gandhi did that. So in that sense, this could be one of his crowning achievements that's there. And let's not forget that he's still in his 8th year. He needs to focus on the economy. And I think looking ahead, there are two things. First of all, if he has to focus on anything, I'd say the economy, the economy, the economy. Second is implementation. There are so many schemes that has been there. Delivery of that is critical. And third, I think very, very importantly, is that people want prosperity. They want income. They don't want divisiveness. They want unity. I think that's something he needs to focus on.
In fact, we didn't actually look at that issue of social harmony. We can maybe have another debate and get all three of you to look at that issue. Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas. Has that been achieved or not? I want to give actually, why not? I'll give it a minute more. We're going. Sopan Das Gupta, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas. Has that been achieved or not?
Well, I think nothing is ever fully achieved. Everything is work in progress. But I think...
Are we a more inclusive India today than we were 8 years ago?
What I think is very, very important to know is that the sense of belonging, the sense of proprietorship of the people, ownership of the people to the government, of government programs is now at a stupendously high level. So Sabka Saath and Sabka Vikas and Sabka Vishwas in various ways have been actually demonstrated on the ground. And I think today, for the first time, we have governmental schemes, governmental initiatives, which actually invite popular participation and where monitoring is actually done not only through technology, but also through a larger political process. And I think, to my mind, that is something which we hadn't ever seen in India before. So to that extent, I would say that Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas is very much. And if you're talking about social harmony, etc., I don't think there's any of these schemes which suggest that any section of the population is being willfully kept out on the strength of their identity or anything else. So, you know, if there are problems of social harmony, these are historical issues. Some of these have come and some of them go. But nothing in the government's state action would suggest that there is any discriminatory action which is taken. Everyone is taken along. Whether they vote for the government, whether they vote for the BJP or not is another matter altogether. A considerable number of them do. And I think that's really one of the biggest problems.
I have exactly a minute.
The opposition have is that they, despite all their naysaying things, haven't been able to persuade people that Mr. Modi is a liability. Because to most people, Mr. Modi seems one of the best things after sliced bread that has come about in this country.